Hey everybody, and welcome back. This is the portion of our fundamentals course where we talk about feedback. Because as you all know, feedback is really important with any kind of progress in the classroom. So today I'm going to talk to you about what we require you to put in your feedback, how to make the parents happy, and how to be the most effective with the students based off of the feedback that you give. So it's really important in this class that you do good feedback. We want you to correct grammar, we want you to correct incomplete sentences, and we want you to correct mispronunciation. It is one of our guarantees here that we provide excellent feedback for our students so they can move forward in a positive manner. If we provide them with bad feedback, then it is something that is not going to be beneficial to them. And VIPX will not get more clients from it, but rather lose them. Because after all, they're here to learn English. And if we are not able to help them with that, they're not going to learn. And if we lose a client because we are not doing our jobs, then we're going to have some major problems as we move forward. So it's really important that you are giving some great feedback. We have some examples here of good feedback and bad feedback if you see. For example, the correct pronunciation of heart sounds like heart. Make sure that you don't pronounce it like hurt, which means when you feel pain. Or the correct way to say your stomach is used to kill food is your stomach is used to digest food. These are all some examples of some good feedback, great feedback actually, because they are specific to the student, which is what we want them to be and what we want them to do. Some examples of bad feedback are those that are not being specific to that student or that lesson for the day. So for example, work on your pronunciation, which was off throughout all of today's class, or you did well today, you need to improve your speaking. You had good effort. Well, no kidding, we were off. No kidding, I had pronunciation errors. But what? So this is what we guarantee our parents. We guarantee that we are going to be the most effective with their students or with their children and give them the best amount of feedback that we can. Please also remember that feedback is 100% necessary. As one of our guarantees and promises to our students and our parents, feedback is going to be one of them. It is important to make sure that it is effective. Please also know that the student's progress depends on it. They can't go any further and get any better if we're not able to give them corrections, right? So feedback is going to be very important in that particular case. Please also note that feedback has to be specific to each one of our students. It cannot be generic. We cannot just copy and paste for each one of our students, as you will know and the admins will see and they will correct you on it. It is why that our classes are recorded so the parents can go back and see, as well as you can go back and see so you can make those corrections with the feedback. Please also note that feedback has to be done within 24 hours. If the feedback is not completed within the 24 hours, you will not be paid for the class. We also give you 10 minutes in between each class session. That should be ample of time to give you to do the feedback. We also have a feature in our Future Cloud classroom that enables you to do feedback while you're actually in the lesson. If you don't finish the feedback, don't worry. We do have a save button, which then transfers over to the feedback section so you can finish it after your class. But we do give you time in between your classes to do it. And if you feel like you are good at multitasking, you're more than welcome to do it during the lesson. But please just note to pay attention to the lesson and to the student so you can collect more feedback if need be. So this is where we talk about experience in regular classes. So remember those classes that I was talking about in the beginning that you might be a little confused about? Well, we have two different classes. Here at VIPX, when you first get in and you get into the classroom and you start teaching, you may or may not have regular students. For that reason, we give you courses called experience courses. The way that I like to explain it is I like to say that you are in a phone book. And what happens are the parents go through and they look in the phone book at all of our teachers, their qualifications, the way that they teach, their experience, their college, etc. They look at all of that. So what I like to say is the parents go through there and they pick you as an experienced teacher to see if they would be good for their student or their child. So in this particular case, you are given 40 minutes with their child to see if you would be the best fit for them. If you are not the best fit for them, they will move on to another teacher. If you do not perform or you do not teach the best that you can, you could lose that student. If it happens to be a student that is new to VIPX and you are not doing a good job teaching, VIPX can lose a client. And in that particular case, then some additional training will be needed for you. Please note that experience courses are classes with potential students. They are not necessarily your actual students. They are considered to be trial runs. If your performance, as I mentioned, is less than satisfactory, not only will you lose that student, but you will also have VIPX lose a client. And again, that could cause some issues. It is a 40-minute class that is used for you to make a solid impression with their child. It's the best way for you to show that parent why you think you would be best for their student. Now, sometimes I hear, but I did a great job and I didn't get the student. Well, that's okay, because sometimes if you feel like you did a great job, sometimes the kid's schedule doesn't match with your schedule. So don't be upset if you don't get that experience course. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, especially if you and that kid don't really gel. So don't be worried about that. But if you do get that experience course and your schedule works out for them and for you, they could pick you up as your regular teacher and you could be their regular student. So don't worry, sometimes schedules just clash. But the most important thing for you to remember is that you give your all in 40 minutes because that is all that you have to show them. Let's talk about some rapport building. So within those 40 minutes, it is really important for you to make the student feel comfortable with you and for you to feel comfortable, right? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to work on some introductions, okay? I usually spend about 5 minutes or so getting to know my student, making them excited to be in class, getting them to talk to me and knowing about them and vice versa. The talk time in the classroom is about 80-20. So we want the kids to be talking about 80% of the time, and we want to be talking about 20% of the time. But if you just happen to have that course or that class or that student that just doesn't want to talk, we may have to talk a little bit more than that. But that is where those rapport building skills are really going to come into play. If the student is comfortable with you and excited to be there in the class, then they're going to want to talk to you, and that's most important. We need you to make at least 3 corrections during that class. So make sure that you are correcting them at least 3 times in the most positive way that you possibly can. Don't be down on them all the time. Encourage them. Make them want to do well. Okay? For as many bad as you do just as many good so the student knows that you are there for them and that you care about them and the success of their English abilities. And lastly, for the last 5 minutes of class when you're doing your wrap up, make sure that your farewell is sincere. Make sure that you have really done some great work with them. Make sure that they are excited. Make sure that they know who you are, they know your name, and let them know you really had a good time with them and you want them to come back and see you. Ask them if they had fun. If they had fun, chances are they're going to come back. And if the parent is in there and they see that the student is having fun too, they're going to want to book you as their regular teacher. So rapport building is, I would say, 90% of this. Yes, you're a teacher. Yes, you've been teaching for a while, but really getting to know this student and knowing what they like and vice versa is really going to be the key to experience courses. If you can make a difference in a child's life through teaching, it's going to help you pick up those students. And if you can share your love of teaching with them, that's going to help as well. So don't worry, we will do the best we can to get you to where you need to be as far as teaching goes. And if you have any questions, let us know and we will be more than happy to work with you on them. Don't worry, EC classes aren't something that come in on the first day. You will have a few days to get comfortable with VIPX before you get our experience courses. Usually by about the 3rd or 4th day is when experience classes come. So don't worry, you will get there. And experience courses will just be one more notch on your belt. We'll see you soon for the next course.